Hello, my name is Preston, and this week I wanted to talk about timelines. Or maybe not exactly timelines, but choices. Recently in my life, I've had to make a lot of big choices, things that I honestly didn't think I was going to have to make a choice on for a very long time. And it's got me thinking about could have beens and would have beens, and things had turned out differently, what they would have been like. And the more I've been thinking about this, the more I've been thinking about how pretty much our entire lives are just made up by choices. And, you know, we think about the big choices as being the things that ultimately define a life, right? Whether you go to this college or that college, where do you end up, going to after college, jobs, trade school, or even just after high school? What do you do when your life is changing and you're making a choice about it? But I'd argue that our lives, well, yes, they are made up of a lot of very large choices, ultimately aren't revolving singularly around those. You know, it's not every day that you're going to choose to a different career, a different path in life, but every single day you're making hundreds of small choices, right? I mean, today, for instance, I made dozens of small choices that had a smaller impact on today, but a huge impact for the rest of my life. Like, I made the choice to continue in habit of going on a walk. Does that ultimately matter all that much for today? I mean, it made me feel pretty good, but at the end of the day, it's not going to drastically change my life in one given day. But if you walk 2 miles every day for, a year, well, I mean, that's over 700 miles. That matters a lot. That is a huge amount of distance to cover. It's that small choice each day, the consistency of it, that leads to massive changes. I bring this up not just as you know, oh, you should start going on a walk every day, or you should walk 2 miles every day, and if you're not, you're lazy. No, I bring it up as a reminder that while yes, big choices matter a lot, at the end of the day, our lives aren't made up of just big choices. Everything you do has an impact, and it has an impact in ways you might never know. When I was younger, I rejoined my band in high school. The high school marching band. It was a fairly large choice at the time, but it's just changing which extracurricular I was doing. Ultimately, that's not going to be at least at the time, it didn't feel like a massive difference. It felt like a smaller choice, just trying to find something to fill the hours with. But that one choice led to me being married to the person I'm married to. It led to me living in the place I'm living in, the college that I've gone to, the friends I've made. The person I am today is because of the choice I made then. I never would have expected that had you told me that at the time. And that's what our lives are. We're just a collection of choices over a span of time. And that's not, I mean, I guess you could call that profound, but for me, what it reminds me is that things can change. A different choice today can lead to a much different tomorrow, and I'm at kind of an inflection point in my life. I've been going to college now for 5 years. I know, I'm super senior, but I've been going for that long because I kept changing my mind on what career I wanted, who I wanted to be when I, quote unquote, grew up. And I finally feel like for the first time I'm on the right path. It was so frustrating getting basically to the end of my business degree, only to realize I hate this. I recently watched American Psycho, and I know that's not how the business world truly is, but I did feel like I was losing my mind a little bit, trying to pretend that all of these things that everyone else cared about mattered. I I just couldn't do it. I'd sit there and I'd hear about ROIs and different, like changing the fonts on things, and how important it was to make sure that the presentation looked just right. And I even got a job, not quite in the business world, but business adjacent, and I hated it. I could not stand what I was doing. I only made it 3 weeks. After I chose that that wasn't the path for me anymore, though, and took a second to think about what I wanted out of life and who I wanted to be, it became clear that I needed to switch. And I needed to just actually choose the thing that I cared about instead of doing what I thought was right. We spend so much time looking at all of our choices and saying, well, what's the right thing? Who am I supposed to be? But if you make that decision based off of everyone else, off of what they think you need to be and not what you think you need to be, you're never going to make the right choice. You're always going to make whatever choice everyone else wanted you to do. If I had followed the advice of everyone else in my life, which, not everyone else, I did have some people who were supporting me, but if I had followed the choice, the path that other people wanted me to, I would be working a 9 to 5 business job right now, and, you know, I guess, what is this? I guess there's worse things you could be doing, but for me, that felt miserable. I, you know, you only get one life, as far as we know. Maybe reincarnation's real. I actually would be really down if reincarnation's real, but as far as we know, you only get this one life. And to spend that one life sitting in an office compiling expense reports for a company that makes more than you'll ever see, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't pretend that it was important. And so I quit. I left, and, you know, I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing. I have 4 years of college left. My friends are starting to graduate with their degrees. I have friends who are having kids. And here I am, still in school. And yet, truthfully, there is no place I would rather be right now. I very commonly look around at all the people around me, and I'm not old by any means, but I guess I am what you would call unk, uh, whenever you're speaking, in terms of like people just entering college, and for my degree, because it's specialized, getting into kind of freshman level classes, I'm older than most of them by quite a few years, and it's an odd feeling to look around at all these people and see the paths they could take and where they might end up based off of where I ended up, and knowing the unlimited possibilities before them. We truly do have so many choices. We can always change our minds, switch things up, but choosing something, sticking with it, and making it be the thing that you want, like, ugh, I envy people who have known that they wanted to do their whole lives. I wish, more than anything, that that was me. But that that has not been me. I look at all the paths and the timelines and the opportunities, and I want to do it all. I wish that I could spend hours each day exercising, and for that to be my life, where I'm a fitness influencer or traveling the world and, you know, barely making enough money to do it, but doing it anyway, or all these other things. And yet, there's only so many lifetimes that you can live. Choosing which one is the hardest part. There's this book I read recently. It was called The Midnight Library. Now, this book's been out for a few years, so I'm not claiming this is a new find or anything, but it was it's such an interesting read. I'm not going to spoil it, but to give a little bit of context, there's this girl who is fed up with her life. She feels like all she's ever done is make the wrong choice, and in a moment of extreme pain, makes a very final decision. What was that? Well, she ends up in a place where she gets to experience all these could have beens, all these what ifs. And I really like the way the book portrays how each individual choice matters. Everything that you do each day ultimately is going to matter. Even if it's not going to matter to you, it matters to someone. We are all connected on this little rock, and there's so many opportunities. I just want to choose the right one. And I think that's something we all struggle with. Trying to find what's best for us and the right path forward. If anyone out there is struggling with something like this, then, say in the comments. Let us know, because it is a rough one. If you're new here, which most of you should be, I haven't been posting as frequently as I'd like to. I'm starting up posting again, at least once a week. I plan on doing mostly this type of content. I'll be starting up a new channel soon, primarily not this sort of content. This is kind of like a venting space for me. But if you enjoyed this, leave a like, subscribe, all the other, wow, this is a massive ocean, all the other YouTuber stuff you're supposed to do, and I will see you next time. Peace.